Hey guys, welcome to another episode of That Healing Feeling with me, Neha Ranglani. And today's episode is really very interesting because we're going to talk all about habits. Now, we all know we are the sum of our habits, and whatever we do in our day to day life leads us towards growth and success, be it professionally or personally. And my guest for today is my dear friend Ashton Docter, who is also known as the habit coach and is the founder of Awesome 180, a transformative program that focuses on 6 foundational habits: movement, sleep, nutrition, hydration, de-stressing, and breathing. He's also hosted the Habit Coach podcast, which is one of India's top health and wellness podcasts with over 1,500 episodes. The best thing about Ashdin is he simplifies habit formation into practical and bite-sized tips. He's also a best-selling author with 4 books and a sought-after speaker. Driven by the mission to help people live more healthier, wealthier, and fulfilling lives, Ashdin empowers people to transform their life one habit at a time. So join me in welcoming my dear friend, Ashton Docter. Welcome, Ashdin, on my podcast. And I'm so glad that you're here because I started my podcast journey with you. My first podcast ever in life was with you, and it was so special because it was very new for me.
Yes.
But you made it so easy for me.
Thank you. And I think we vibed so well on the podcast. It was brilliant.
Yes.
Even though we had different points of view on so many topics, I think the way that we managed to get the podcast together was so beautiful.
Absolutely.
Congratulations on your podcast.
Thank you. Yeah, this is just something I wanted to start because there's so much about healing that people need to know, and different perspectives, different aspects of healing. Because as a nutritionist, we are very typecasted. You know, it's food, what you put on the plate, but there's so much more than that, no?
Yes.
That comprises...
And I think the essence of healing, very subtly, is get out of your body's way. Right? Just get out of your body's way is like the secret to almost all healing, because the body knows what it's doing.
Wow, you're already spilling a lot of pearls of wisdom, and I'm so excited for this episode because I'm sure the audience is going to take back a lot from you.
Thank you.
And your wealth of knowledge that you have.
Thank you.
So Ashton, tell me, habit coach. Like, I've heard of life coach, nutrition coach, health coach. I've never heard of habit coach. Is this a profession that, you know, you came up with? Is there really a profession like that? Or what is it? Like, did it choose you or you chose the profession?
So we started the habit coaching industry itself. There wasn't something called habit coaching about 10 years ago now. 9-10 years ago, I forget now. The key aspect of habit coaching was that I realized that people were constantly trying to make a change in their life using this one word called motivation. Now, you know this. People come to you fully motivated, saying, Neha, here, take my money, and come fully motivated. And then what happens? They fizzle out. Then you need to constantly be behind them to make sure that they actually start making these changes. And I realized that the issue is this word called motivation. If we could get rid of motivation in this whole scheme of things, we could easily start making changes in our life. So my entire war as a habit coach is on this one word called motivation, because I believe motivation sucks. It's absolutely useless. It is like a little spark, but using a spark, you can't cook Maggi noodles, no?
Yeah.
You need to have a flame that burns brighter.
Yeah.
So the whole idea is, how do we create flames that burn brighter and more consistently? That is where the idea of habit coaching came from.
So, you know, when you talk about motivation, I think an other word in this whole health industry or just, you know, wellness industry is willpower, which I think is really very overtly used. And I also feel as people depend on willpower a lot. Like, oh, if I don't have the willpower, I can't change. And, you know, I don't have the willpower to do this. Yeah, it's an excuse. And it's like dependency. Oh, you did this because you have such good willpower. And I find it very, very silly because, you know, what is willpower? You have the will to do something, you'll find a way to it. But if you're depending on only your will, how are you going to get to that? So I want you to throw light on that word also. And if not motivation, then what is it that you coach your clients with?
Very nice. So there's willpower and there's self-discipline. Right? Those are the other two that are used along with motivation as excuses of I can't do this. And this is so interesting, especially in the people that you work with. So many people who are overweight, very large, they come and they think that they don't have the self-power, discipline. But we don't realize that most of them are actually masters of self-discipline, because the amount of discipline they are taken to try and not become bigger and bigger and bigger, it is that they are battling their hormones. They're battling an internal system that they don't know how to control. So very often we misplace and misuse this. We look at people who are overweight and we think that they don't have any self-discipline. But they have a lot of self-discipline. It's just that they don't have the right biology yet.
Yeah.
A large part of what we do is talking about how do we get the biology together. You talk about the gut so much. That is because we want the biology to work along with this person.
Yeah.
So that they can get there. That was a little segue. But the whole idea is, instead of the word in self-discipline, motivation, we use a word called intention. The why you want to get this done.
Yeah.
Right? I want to lose weight so that I can fit into this dress for day after tomorrow is not a strong enough one to continue for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Right? You need something that is very, very strong for you to continue for the rest of your life. And that is the key. Like right now I'm doing that whole 75-day hard challenge. You might have seen some of my videos on it. And people are looking at it and saying, Ashdin, you're making this look too easy. Right? You're supposed to make it hard. Right? Why are you making it look so easy? Because the whole idea is that my intention behind this is very clear. Right? I wanted to challenge myself to grow. Now I've grown to this becoming my comfort zone. Now I will make it a little harder and a little harder and a little harder and grow along with it. Very often we get stagnant and we believe we can't grow beyond this point.
Yeah.
So that little discomfort comes with that intention that we set.
I think we don't really tap into our potential because we make ourselves too small in our own mind to understand that we have this entire universe within us and there's a lot that we can do if we put the right intention, which you rightly said, because I always tell my clients, I'm like, why do you want to lose that weight? So when they say, my husband's got me here, that's why I'm doing this, I'm like, sorry, you're not going to get the results.
Correct.
You need to have a strong reason to do it, which could be, okay, I want to lose weight so that I feel confident. I can become better at my work. I can show up better for myself at a lot of places where right now I can't because I don't feel good about myself. Or maybe I want to lose weight because that will give me more energy, more stamina to play with my grandkids or play with my kids or just, maybe be able to run a marathon. That could be a big enough reason because that's why I want to get fitter so that I can achieve my goal. So I think that what you said is very important, power of intention. And I was going to ask you that question before that you said, because I read it in your book, Change Your Habits, Change Your Life.
Correct.
The power of intention when you want to change.
Yes, makes a huge difference.
Makes a
and
huge
you're talking about
difference.
nutrition, but as a habit coach, I talk about sleep, I talk about stress. And then, we have these high power executives that come and, I will sleep when I'm dead kind of, sleep is a waste of time.
Yeah.
Till that penny drops and they realize that the sleep is going to make them perform better, that sleep is going to make them less irritable during the day, that sleep is going to actually improve their performance and get more done. That's when the switch takes place and they say, now that I have a clear intention on why I need to be sleeping, let me figure out how I can supercharge my sleep.
Yeah, but I think what's stopping a lot of people today from sleeping well is doom scrolling at night.
Yes.
They're just constantly on their phone, checking reels for like 2 hours. And by the time they've realized it's already like early morning. It's like
sneaks up on you.
Yeah, it's 3 or 4 a.m. And then they're like, oh my God, I'm not getting enough sleep. But that's, that's like it's an addiction.
Yes.
How can people get over that addiction when they know it's wrong? They know that's not something I need to do at night before I'm going to sleep. But I think they just can't get over it. It's just a very autopilot thing for people now.
I think the first thing with sleep is to realize that you need to measure it. So either get a device like I'm wearing this ring, or you get these little watches, or get some form of sleep tracker. I've gone through almost every type of sleep tracker because to work with my clients I needed different ones. And what the sleep tracker does is it gives you a ballpark figure on how you slept over the last week, over the last month. So you can actually see your average as it starts moving
also
over
the quality of sleep.
And the quality of it, right? So it gives you a score. So that is the quality.
Yeah.
Doom scrolling, you need to understand that companies are spending billions of dollars trying to get you addicted to it. So they are hacking your biology. We don't have a chance. Hamara poor body, how can it possibly go up against these billions of dollars? So instead, we have to create rules for ourselves. So in my house, for example, one of the rules is that there are certain areas where the phone is allowed and there are certain areas where the phone is not allowed.
Wow.
So my toilet has a big sign that says no phones beyond this point. Because where does most doom scrolling happen? Most of your morning messages are replied from the pot itself. Correct?
True.
So one is that. So you get rule no phone in the toilet. The second is no phone in the bedroom. So we know that Putting a TV in a bedroom completely destroys intimacy.
Yes.
Putting a phone in the bedroom is the same as having a TV in the bedroom. So you might not have a TV, but now if you have two phones, intimacy again with your partner is completely gone.
Yeah.
And then you wonder where your day has gone and why we are not having this relationship that we wanted to have. The other is no phones on the dining table. So this is family time, right? So when you create rules like this and you make sure everybody has bought into that rule, you'll realize that the amount of scrolling and screen time starts reducing. Set a phone place. So have one sofa where the phones are allowed, or in the family room where people can be on their phones together, but at least they're together at that point of time.
Yeah.
So you have these little rules, makes a big difference. Then there are harder, little stranger hacks. So one that I tried for a while was on my phone, putting 4 rubber bands across it. Okay.
How do you do that?
So just stick a rubber band.
Fold like this.
4 rubber
Okay.
bands across it.
Huh.
Why? Because you can't scroll through the rubber band, right?
Oh,
So the scrolling is the swiping up.
That is
so
smart.
katak, and then you're like, okay, fine, this is boring. Let me change it. So I'm telling you, I would have tried every single way of doing it because they are so addictive and they just sneak in and they know exactly what it is that you want at that point of time to feed you.
But listen, I know of people who will probably do that. But because you have the self-awareness and self-control, you do not take the rubber bands off. But there will be people who will be like, what is this? Why did I put this? They'll just remove it and they'll start scrolling. And that brings me to my next question is that people know that some habits are bad for us. They're not good for us. Like waking up with the phone in the morning, taking your phone to the toilet and scrolling like for half an hour and just wasting time. And it also affects your subconscious mind because a lot is being spoken about that today, that how it affects your thought process, how it affects your emotional regulation, when you're constantly submerged in dopamine hit.
Shots,
yes. And then you don't feel happy without these things. But people still do it. Yeah. They know it's bad. They know it's not good for them. Why do they keep relapsing to the bad habit? What is it that's stopping them to make that change, which they know is good for them?
So the thing is, knowing something is good and it having a place in your life are two completely different things. So as a habit coach, we don't define things as good habits or bad habits. We just define things as habits that are moving you towards your goal or moving you away from your goal. So doom scrolling at night is moving you away from your goal of sleep, right? But if you are lonely, if you are feeling that sense of nobody loves me, that phone at least is there and loving you. So it is satisfying a need temporarily. So it's not a bad habit. It is just a crutch at this point of time. In the same way, people smoke. We know smoking is going to kill you. We know that there is no possible good that can come from smoking. But smoking has a social angle to it.
Yeah.
Right? Like you want to get into the good books with your boss, you go for a smoke with your boss. So there is a goal that it is helping you at that point of time. Once you don't need to butter up to that boss, you don't need that smoking. You can then start thinking about letting it go. So it's not a good habit or a bad habit. It is what is a habit that is needed for that goal that you're currently working through. So let me give you an answer to the doom scrolling.
Yeah.
So the rubber bands, you might take it off when you're feeling lonely and you want to scroll. Fair. But it will at least prevent you from when you just sit on the pot and you had 5 seconds, you took out your phone and realized, these bands are there, let me put my phone back.
Yeah, somewhere it will give you that nudge.
To put it down.
Yeah.
So from 100% it might count to 50% of scrolling. That's the reason. So you start making these small changes as these little pushes, as you said, nudges in that direction.
So basically slowly and steadily, then you will not be tempted to get the rubber band off and you'll be tempted to keep the phone back if you do it repeatedly. Because that will keep reminding you that it's not good for you.
Correct.
Awesome.
Other phones have this thing called focus mode. So Android has this thing called focus mode. You put in focus mode, all these apps are by default blocked.
Yeah.
So you can do that as well. That makes a difference.
Amazing. And what about procrastination? A lot of people, procrastinate. I have clients. They know they have to do a certain thing, but they're just procrastinating. And I think we've, no names taken, but we both have one client in common who really procrastinates. And, then they ghost you. They don't show up for weeks and weeks. And then they suddenly turn up and say, okay, I need help. But what is this procrastination? Is procrastination also a habit, or is it something that we've just got addicted to?
So procrastination happens because of 3 reasons. The first reason is the task that you have to do is too large. Procrastination is one of the questions I get asked every time. No matter where I'm giving a talk, procrastination is the number one thing people ask. So the first thing is when something is too large for you. So maybe they are completely uncomfortable with either the exercise program or the nutrition plan or whatever it is you've created because they feel it's too difficult.
Yeah.
So we have to then take a step back and break it up into something even smaller till it becomes a no-brainer for them. All right, now it's a no-brainer. They will start growing with that and make it stronger and stronger and stronger. The second reason people procrastinate is because it's too easy. When it becomes too easy, people again procrastinate.
बाद में कर लेंगे.
It's like paying our bills, right? Credit card bill, I can pay anytime, and suddenly you're hit with a fine for late payment fees.
Yeah.
Right? You just completely forget about it because it was so easy to do. Electricity bill. So as a result, you realize that you need to find a Goldilocks spot for whatever task you take on. Just hard enough, just easy enough to get it done. So that is what many people miss. Because, like for example, I've written 4 books now in the last 2 years. How do people write books? Most people say, Ashton, I've not written one book. And I tell them that's because you wanted to write all 500 pages. I just wanted to write 700 words. It's a very different way of thinking about it. I don't write 500 pages of a book. I write 700 words every day. That 700 words slowly becomes the book. In the same way, you look at what is just that sweet spot for you. If I said 100 words, too easy. I'll write it at night. Not going to happen. 700 words is just that Goldilocks spot.
Right.
The third reason people procrastinate is because there is fear in the body and the body is trying to tell you something.
Fear of?
So, for example, why do we procrastinate about going on stage and giving a talk? Because we are scared of public speaking.
Fear of judgment.
Public speaking is the number one fear in the world beyond death.
Really?
Oh, you didn't know this. So fear of public speaking is the people are more scared of that than death. So as a result, many people try to do everything to get out of public speaking. What will we do? We'll say, I will not work on my presentation, I will not work on my speech. Hopefully, plane will get cancelled, fire will break out in auditorium, something will happen, I don't have to go and do it. So there's this fear that is holding you back. So whenever there's a fear holding you back, you ask yourself a question saying, is there any truth to this fear? What is the fear? People will judge me. People will say, kya bakwas bol raha hai?
Or I may forget.
I remember in school, I'd gone blank.
Yeah.
All of these kind of things. Is there any truth to this? You have to ask yourself that question. Most of the time, there's no truth to it because what is fear? Fear is nothing but your brain keeping your brain on creative overdrive. Because half the things that you're fearful about never truly happen. So it's your brain being creative, coming up with, oh my God, problems in life. So what we need to do is realize that there is no truth to these fears and we can actually overcome them.
And how do you overcome procrastination? Like, what are the 3 tips you would give somebody who's like a pro procrastinator to overcome procrastination? Like, if they have to start today.
Step 1 is get your intention.
Okay.
If you don't have an intention, that's the starting point. Right?
Okay.
Ask yourself why 3 times to find out what your core intention is. The second part is Goldilocks zone, which is what we're talking about. If it's too big to do, break it up into smaller chunks so that you can complete it and do it now.
Yeah.
If it is too easy to do, just do it now. Anything under 20 seconds gets done immediately. 20 seconds means, that one SMS that you wanted to send out to, you don't SMS anymore, but one WhatsApp that you wanted to send out to somebody that you've been procrastinating for so long, just do it right now. That way, you start getting into the mindset of do it now instead of do it later.
Right.
So then it becomes a habit of thinking about how I can do it now. The final part is the fear bit, which I was speaking about. Many of us have lots of these underlying fears that are holding us back. And once these 3 come together, your self-image changes. Like you will have noticed that there are clients of yours who procrastinated till an image shift happened in their mind. Once that image shift happened in their mind, they didn't need to procrastinate anymore. Once in their mind, they became fit people.
Right.
So one thing you can do is you can start wearing more active clothes around the house, right? Little subconscious cues to showcase that you are an active person. You're a person who cares about their health. Making those little changes then changes your identity, and then procrastination disappears because now it is who you are. Yeah. It is not an identity or a fake thing that you're putting on. It is not something that you believe that, I can't do this, because this is now your new identity.
Yeah.
And that is the way that you flow into.
So basically what you mean to say is take smaller steps and do small things in your day-to-day life that will get you closer to becoming who you want to become. and then no more it will feel so big that you'll have to procrastinate about it.
That identity shift is a big one.
Yeah, which will happen because of these small actions and small things that you're doing.
Or even cues around the house. So if you want to quit smoking, don't have ashtrays at home.
Right.
Even that fancy ashtray that you bought from that place, give it away to somebody. Don't have anything that's an ashtray at home because you're not a smoker. Why would you have an ashtray?
Nobody is now needing an ashtray. Most people are vaping. Today. And that is another habit which I think we should talk about. Yeah, and that is everywhere. And that is something that you don't have control over because it's in your pocket. And people don't realize it's more damaging than smoking, because smoking, at least you have to take a break, you have to go out, you have to light a cigarette. It's a process. Maybe you also need company. You'll tell a friend, okay, chal na mere saath, let's go out and, get a smoke. But with vaping, it's like sipping water. It's in your pocket all the time. And how is that affecting people? And how can, and I also know of people who are vaping, but they want to get over that habit. How can they get over that habit?
So the first thing you have to realize is that vaping has more nicotine than cigarettes does. All you have to do is look at the box that your vape comes in and see the number of cigarette packets equal to this vape. And you'll immediately understand what is going on in your body. The amount of nicotine that's coming in your body is huge. That much nicotine is pure addiction. Right? So what you have to do is you need to understand that you need 7 days of no smoking for the nicotine in your body to slowly wane out. So that you're not dependent on the nicotine anymore. There will be brain fog, there will be headaches, you will not feel comfortable, perfectly fine. The key thing is to get rid and not have them in your surroundings. So you have to pack those vapes up, throw it in a dustbin, or give it away to somebody. I always say all these bad habits and the things that you want to give away, all the junk food in your house, give away to people you don't like. So, they feel happy, they've got it. So there's that.
Oh my God.
But,
that is a very
evil
and karmically maybe not so good kind of an act to do.
So it's just basically get it out of your system. Right? I used to say, like, when you're going on a no sugar challenge, take all the junk food that you have in the house, all the chocolates, and give it to that one uncle who complains about how you park the car every day.
Uncle, I was just feeling like gifting you something
today.
Here you
go. One bag full of chocolates.
You've been so nice to me, Uncle. Thank you.
So it's like ek teer se do nishan. Right? So the whole thing is that get it out of your immediate vicinity. The way you change your environment changes the way that you live. The second aspect is the people that you will be with. You might have given up the vape, but they will still have a vape on them. So for those 7 days, restrict the people that you're meeting. Now it'll be hard. No, but these are my best friends. I have to meet them, etc., 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 etc. Fine, I understand that. If they're your best friends, they'll also understand 7 days not to meet you.
Yeah.
Correct? If they also understand that you are trying something new, that it is difficult to do, they will be supportive. And if they're not supportive, they're not your best friends.
Exactly. So you have friends who will support you in the right things that you're trying to do for yourself, and then there are friends who just don't want you to do the right things for yourself, because they are not doing the right things. How can you be the better person, and how can you be the one who's trying to get or build better habits and be the the healthier one or the wiser one in the group?
Sense.
Yeah, the change maker. Like nobody likes it. You're a part of us. So obviously, like a rotten apple will want to rot the entire basket, right? So a rotten apple will not say, okay, I'll only rot and you guys don't rot. So what do you do of those kind of friends?
You know about the theory about so there's this theory about how in a group of friends, if one person comes in who's overweight, the weight of the entire group increases. Have you heard of this theory? So it's a very well documented thing online. Just check it out. So say there are 7 friends and another friend comes in who is now new to this gang, who's overweight. What is going to happen? Everyone is now going to say, okay, chalo, once in a while we'll order pizza. Maybe we won't go to do that hiking activity. Now we'll go and watch a movie. So as a result, the whole activities of that group starts changing. The mindset of the group starts changing. So like how you said, you won't call them rotten apples, but we'll call them a mindset shift that comes in because of this. So it's interesting how, we get influenced by the people that we spend time with.
Yeah. I also read in one of your books, you've spoken about not breaking your comfort zone, but stretching it. It was very interesting. I want you to throw some light on this.
So, if you go online and you Google comfort zone, it's full of these, like, fitness gurus, motivational gurus telling you that, break out of your comfort zone, todo, fodo. And it's very, hard in that sense. The problem is that comfort zone exists for a reason. Because our lives are stressful as it is.
Yeah.
We need that comfort zone for us to feel safe. If we are every day breaking our comfort zone, every day living outside our comfort zone, our body starts feeling unsafe in that constant state of being outdoors. We need that little feeling of unsafeness from time to time. Do a challenge. Challenges give you like 21 days, 10 days of that feeling of uncomfort, then come back to a state of comfort. But when it comes to habits, we don't want habits to be so hard that we are constantly feeling stretched and broken.
Yeah, struggling basically.
Struggling. Instead, what we need to do is we need to have a habit that is just at the edge of our comfort zone, right? So, for example, say you're a runner, right? And you've been able to do 2 kilometers of running very peacefully. Don't start doing 10 kilometers. That's breaking, right? 2 kilometers becomes 2.5 slowly. 2.5 stays till it becomes easy, then it becomes 2.3. 3. Then 3.5. So what you're doing is slowly stretching it.
Stretching it.
Reading 10 pages might be hard. Read 1 page a day. Then 1 page might be easy. Read 2, read 3. So what you're doing is you're slowly growing along with that habit. And you're stretching open that comfort zone. The idea is that comfort zone slowly becomes so large and so all-encompassing that you never feel out of place anywhere. What do we appreciate about James Bond, for example? You throw him anywhere, he feels like he's at home. At a casino or in the middle of a military camp, you throw him in a tank and he knows how to do it, right? At some point, all men want to be James Bond. We have that. All women also want that kind of, that ease of being anywhere. But that comes when you've stretched your comfort zone to such an extent that no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, you're always in that place of ease instead of that state of like, oh my God, what's going to happen now? And breaking out of it every time.
So before we move on to the next segment, I want to take a moment to thank my very, very special sponsor, Urban Platter, for sponsoring this season of That Healing Feeling with me, Neha Ranglani. I've just realized if I break it down to the smallest thing that I can do, and then eventually add more every day, it makes it easier for me in my head.
Correct.
Like I'm not thinking of that thing as a very big task then. Because I have brought it down to like literally ground level of what I can achieve. And then when I know, okay, I've achieved this, maybe I have little more time, I can go little more. I go little more and I feel like, oh my God, that's a bonus. I achieved more than what I actually decided for myself.
Correct.
And that gives me, that push and that feeling of sense of achievement, which then helps me to get through my day and do other things that I want to do.
Correct. When we say, doing the easy things like that, it's not sexy enough, right?
Yeah.
You can't post on social media saying I read 1 page, right? It is I read 100 books. The problem is that we want to have something that looks super cool, super sexy, so other people say, wah, 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 sabash, sabash. But the actual change in life does not happen at the wah, wah, sabash. It happens through that daily grind that is boring, that is monotonous. That is actually where it is. You listen to any sports, all your sports heroes will say the same thing. It is in that daily grind, the boring monotony of the workout and the practice.
The repetition,
the
actually.
repetitions of it, where you become better and better and better and better and grow.
Yeah, and that's the same with fitness as well. That's the same with everything that you
Any
do,
aspect
right?
of life.
Like
Any
every day you
aspect
wake up, you brush your teeth, right? It's repetition, but you do it every day, and that's important.
Yes.
So I think your basic daily small habits and actions will eventually compound into a bigger, like a result.
Yeah.
Right? So you also spoke about social media, like everyone's posting on social media and doing things, trying to achieve things to be able to look cool on social media and to be able to look like, oh wow, like this person has superpowers because they do so much, they achieve so much. And sometimes we are doing it just to show people on social media. No matter, we may be putting ourselves through a lot of trauma and turmoil to get to that state to look cool. And this addiction is real.
Yes, very real.
And what do you have to say about that? Like, how can people break through not wanting to do things for social media, and overall how to break the social media addiction, the FOMO of, being on social media and looking a certain way?
I always say that if you want to understand social media, travel with a travel influencer and go for lunch with a food influencer. And you will realize just how fake social media is. Because when you travel with a travel influencer, you'll realize that none of what they have showcased is actually happening. It is this much square of reality that you are seeing.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, this is so beautiful. But the people like peeing and pooping probably around it.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like only seeing this one little aspect of it. When you eat with the food influencer, all the food is cold.
You can't eat also, no?
You can't,
Because they have to
you
click
can't eat, all the
pictures.
food is cold. Like the hardest thing that has happened to me for the 75-day challenge that I'm doing is that as soon as the food comes, I eat it. Then I can't take a picture of it because now it's over. So all my pictures of my food are all half-eaten because I've forgotten that I have to take a picture of this. I'm so not used to it. Right?
Yeah.
And so the thing is that you need to realize this, that none of what you're seeing on your phone is real.
Yeah.
It is all fake. And like for example, even in my life, so earlier on I used to post a lot about my life. I'm talking about 5 years ago, 7 years ago. Till my friends started saying that, why are you posting all about your life? You're making us feel bad about us. And then I said that that was not the point of me putting anything up. So now I don't post anything about my life because like, why should I make somebody feel bad? So I called it a zero FOMO zone. So none of this is going to make you feel any FOMO from what you do.
But I don't believe in this, because today, if you're putting out something, if the intention is just to share something interesting and something unique with people, or maybe your daily life, your daily struggles, your daily monotony also, if you share on social media, and you're coming from a space of just sharing, not with the intention of, oh, I'm putting it because I want to look a certain way, and then people will have FOMO when they look at me. That is a very subconscious thought somewhere behind our mind. When we are posting something, we may slip into that thought that, oh, ye dalungi na, so people will be like,
enjoy.
wow, this is so interesting, and they'll get FOMO. If you're not coming from that space, but somebody else is feeling FOMO, in my opinion, I think it's something that they need to work on, because if they are feeling FOMO and they are feeling triggered by your content, then probably they need to work on their life.
100%. The whole idea of Habit Coach was to showcase how you can make things easy for yourself.
Yeah.
If I'm showcasing myself doing like a front lever, which is a very hard move in calisthenics, and people say, I can't do this, I'm not going to start, I have removed the ease of it. So that's what I meant.
Yeah.
I made it so that people felt that if I can't do what Ashdin's doing, there's no point me doing it.
Yeah.
I wanted to break that out.
Yeah.
And I wanted to showcase that this is the easy steps for being able to do it.
Yeah. But sometimes I think it may work the other way around also. When somebody sees you doing a harder thing, they may want to try it. Of course, there are those kind of people also who get absolutely charged up by looking at you doing something and like, I want to try this.
Inspired and motivated, no?
Yeah.
That's what we said right in the beginning.
Yeah.
You look at something on social media and you get inspired or motivated by it, which is why you then try making a change.
Yeah.
But the problem is that motivation and inspiration doesn't stay.
It doesn't stay.
So you need to have that clear intention of why you're doing it.
Yeah. Talking about motivation.
One of my favorite quotes is that you've arrived when you travel like by a private jet and don't take a single picture.
Yeah.
So
True.
You're not doing this for
comfortable with
anybody. You're not doing this for anything. You're doing this only because of whatever that convenience was there for that.
True. Yeah. I think we all need to get to that stage, and we all will eventually, because I think beyond a point, social media will become very, very boring and, like done with kind of a scene. So you will not want to post anything beyond a point, because
I think we need to realize one
very,
very, very important thing, that all of us are living the life that somebody else wishes they were living. Everyone. No matter where you are right now, you might be at rock bottom. Somebody else probably wishes they had your life.
True.
And we all are at that level. So it is something that we need to realizing that no matter what we have, we need to observe the little things that we are still grateful for, that we are enjoying.
That's so true. Yeah, because in this whole this social media fiasco, we may get lost in the beauty of our own life. We may lose that essence of the beauty of our own life, and that I think is a bigger loss than anything else, because we all have something to be grateful for every day.
Yes.
We all have something to be happy about, to look forward to. Only if we don't see the glamour on social media and all the fake things that we are being shown, suddenly our life will start looking more colorful.
And I think as soon as you start helping people, as soon as you start saying that, okay, I have this, wow, fantastic, let me help you achieve it. Let
Yeah.
me ask you to do this. Which is why you feel your job is so rewarding. Which
Yeah.
is why my job is so rewarding, because I don't feel I'm working at all,
Same.
ever. I've seen you work so hard, but I know that you never feel like you're working. You know that you have to be in office at this time to this time for your clients, etc. But you never feel you're working because it is such a rewarding, such a thing. And that is that moment where the FOMO disappears. The need for anything disappears because you know what you're giving is so valuable.
Yeah, that's true. Also, talking about motivation, because you just spoke about motivation, I think one area where people depend a lot on motivation is fitness. Like, अरे आज मैं वर्कआउट पे नहीं जाऊंगा, बिल्कुल मोटिवेशन नहीं था आज मुझे जाने का, you know. And I've seen that with my clients also. I'm like, okay, why didn't you? I start with little things, like you rightly said. For some people who've not worked out ever, I'll say, okay, can we just do 20 minutes of walk in the morning? Can we just get that done? I'm not asking you to get a gym membership. I'm not asking you to do something intense. Just get up and go for a 20-minute walk. Can we do that much? For that also, people come back sometimes saying, I was just not motivated.
The goal was too hard.
No, maybe it was not so.
The
For
habit
them,
was too hard.
I don't know.
I'll tell
but
you why.
Motivation.
No, I'll tell you why. You have to break it down even one step further. You have to say every morning, put on your walking shoes.
Ah, okay.
Now they'll feel like an idiot putting on their walking shoes and walking around the house.
Yeah.
Now they put on their walking shoes, maybe they'll at least do a little jumping in place.
Yeah.
Put on their walking shoes, maybe they'll go for that walk. But when they have to go for a walk, oh, I have to change my clothes, I have to put on my shoes, then maybe I'll feel like, maybe I won't. What if that other bhabhi ji is outside? And then they look at me walking and say, Acha, bhai fitness ban gayi. So, you know, like they have all these different things in their mind. If you just tell them, put on your shoes as your goal, you have to put on your shoes at 7 o'clock in the morning after your chai. Fantastic. Wait, have chai and go.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's the way in order to break it down into something that's very, very doable. Now, for somebody who is an atton gym bro, who does not need any of this, and you tell them to put on your shoes, they laugh at you.
Obviously.
Their stupidly small habit is to reach the gym.
Yeah.
Right? So it depends on where you are in this whole scheme of things.
So basically, again, motivation doesn't work. You need to start like absolutely small and tiny steps.
They need to know why they're going for that walk. As soon as they realize, acha, ye fasted walk, for example, mera blood sugar regulate karega, and then I will know that I will start dropping weight because of this. Fantastic. Now there is a intention behind this walk. If it is a walk so that in the future you can go and exercise, that seems like too daunting a task. Go for a walk now. In the future, we'll think about gym. No, too daunting. I don't want to do this because I don't want to do the gym
Because
itself.
what is to come is too heavy.
Now, if I say I'll do this regularly, then Neha will tell me go to the gym. Khalas. Put on your shoes.
So basically,
become a fit mindset person. A fit mindset person has walking shoes. Don't walk in the chappals.
Right. Good. Yeah, that's an interesting thing. And any 3 tips that you would give to sedentary people who are sitting all day and who do not like to move, but it's important for them to move? How can they get into the active mindset from a sedentary mindset?
Most of us are. 99% of us are sedentary. So the thing is that we have to realize that everything that has been designed to give us comfort is making us ill. It's very simple. The chair that we are sitting on is making us ill.
Yeah.
Right? The pillows that we are using are making us ill. The soft mattress is making us ill. Anything that has come in and that we have said now is comfortable for us is making us ill. That doesn't mean you throw everything out. That means you add a little bit of discomfort to it. So right now, if you come to my house, my desk has a treadmill on it, a kneeling chair, and a stool. Now, why all of these? Because I first have to experiment before I tell people.
I saw the kneeling chair in your room and
The
I was like,
kneeling chair.
what is this thing? It was so cool.
Yeah. Because, so what is a kneeling chair? A kneeling chair is where you sit in a kneeling position so that you're not in this 90-90-90 direction that all chairs put us in. So that helps with blood circulation to your legs and gives you that upright posture as well as starts working on your core. So in that one little switch, you made many changes. Now, is it comfortable? Obviously, it's not as comfortable as one of those big plush chairs that you can sit inside. But what it does is it gives you that little bit of discomfort to make sure that you're getting some movement in your body. Now I'm using a stool that is wobbly at the base. So I'm using my core constantly to make sure that I'm balancing on that stool while I'm working. On days when I'm just watching a video or I have to review something, I'm on my treadmill, and so I get 5 minutes of walking or 10 minutes of walking continuously throughout the day because of that. So in these little ways, I've put in movement into the day. Now say you don't want to do any of this. Chalo. You're watching TV, sit on the floor and watch TV. So you've added a different form of movement. Earlier you were sitting on the sofa sprawled out. Now you're at least sitting on the floor. You're sitting on the floor, maybe you will do a little stretch to the left, stretch to the right. Your different muscles will be opening up. So in this way you add a little bit more to the movement that you're adding. If you're in the kitchen, cut your vegetables while standing. Don't sit down and do it there. So there's always a little bit that you can do. In Mumbai, no one walks, right? Like for example, when you go to Hong Kong, Japan, you walk 10,000 steps without realizing it.
Yeah.
Because everything is walking. In Bombay, everything is auto, right? So as a result, there's no walking. So you try and add walking movements. If you have a gym that is close to you that you can walk to, take that instead of a gym that you need to drive to. Little things like this slowly start adding up. And that's what I've been doing. So for the last 2 years, I had also become very, very sedentary. And these things happen. It all follow on cycle. My focus had become into my meditation and other aspects, not so much my health. Now that I've brought my health back in as a priority for my life, I'm starting to see how I can bring these things back into my life in terms of the walks, in terms of all these little things.
So great. So to have an active mindset, you basically need to start small and try to fit in movement wherever you can in your day. Great. Right. Let's talk about addictions. We spoke about smoking and alcohol, but I also want to talk about simpler things which people don't see as addictions. And they see it as normal, but it's actually affecting their health and damaging their gut. And so many things, like obviously tea, coffee is one thing which people don't see it as a problem. And when I actually get tea and coffee out of my clients' diets, they realize, oh my God, that was damaging my gut. And I realize when I have it now, it doesn't suit me. Right? So what are the small steps that people can take to overcome their tea and coffee habit if they have gut issues, which, that's the first step. You can't put in things which are damaging your gut. You can't put more fuel to the fire.
Correct.
So you have to get it out. But then what steps can people take?
I'll tell you a funny story about this coffee thing. I was abroad doing coachings for different clients, etc. And this one gentleman comes and he has this thick South American accent. He was talking to me and he was talking about how he has this anxiety and he doesn't know how to deal with his anxiety. And we went through all the different steps and I asked him, how much coffee do you have? He said 9 cups. I was like, do you realize that probably it's the 9 cups of coffee that is giving you anxiety? The point of caffeine is to make your heart go tuck, 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 tuck. And he said, really? I was like, yes. So then we went from 9 coffees to 7 coffees to 3 coffees to 2 coffees to 1 coffee. See, I believe that you need to have your 1 coffee, your 1 tea or something like that for a very different reason. It balances out. So as habits, we look at things differently. We say that there are habits, which are the small individual actions or thoughts that take place throughout the day. You put a bunch of habits together, it forms a routine. This happens, and this happens, and this happens, and this happens. You put a routine and add an emotion onto it, it becomes a ritual.
Ritual, yeah.
For most of us, that morning tea or coffee is a ritual. There is beauty to a ritual. The beauty to the ritual is that emotion has now been attached to it. Now you can say that it's a bad thing because there's an emotional attachment to it, etc., etc. Fair. But on top of that, you can add lots of other habits. So I love it when people have a tea, coffee habit in the morning or a ritual in the morning, because on that I can add a gratitude practice. On that I can add the wear your shoes practice, because I know that habit will happen 100%. So you can use that as the engine of a train pulling along all the other habits that you want to add.
Wow.
So I will try not to remove that because I think that is a good solid point for people to start off with. We might have different points of views from a gut, which will 100%.
Yeah.
But from a habit point of view, I like that habit so that I can add more stuff to their morning routine.
Yeah. So I agree. I agree about the ritual bit. So as a functional medicine practitioner, I also believe that people, if they have a ritual, it's something that is very close to them and that helps them to get through their day and get through all the stressors in their day if they've had that one ritual.
Correct.
So what I would do is, I would always tell them, keep the ritual. Like you like your favorite mug. Ritual is not just the tea, it's just that tea is one drink inside, but
It's the first sip of the tea in any case.
Yeah, and it's a setup. Sometimes it's sitting in the balcony with your partner. You have, having your favorite mug in your hand. That is the ritual. It's the setup.
Yes.
So I always tell my clients, keep the setup. Just let's change what's inside that cup. And obviously that also happens gradually. First, it's keep what is in the cup. Then reduce the quantity of that in the cup, and then let's change to something
correct. So at least
better.
Move from with milk to without milk.
Yeah,
so with sugar to without sugar.
Yeah.
So you start making those better.
Yeah, like if they're having coffee, or then probably just add like a teaspoon of coconut oil to it, just to reduce the impact or the harshness of the coffee on your gut.
Yeah.
So those kind of things. So I completely believe in the ritual bit. Yeah, but there are times I have to ask clients to give up tea, coffee, cold turkey because of H. pylori and because of ulcers in the stomach. Can't even do the ritual. I'm like, you do the ritual but with something else, because
so hot water even at that point of time makes a big difference.
So actually it depends on where the person is at again,
Hot water has a very interesting taste to it. I've always enjoyed the taste of hot water. Yeah. People say, but no, water doesn't have taste. No, I think like hot water has a taste to it.
Yeah, I think it becomes more blander for some reason. I've also realized that when you heat water, it becomes bland to your palate. I like adding lemon to my water.
Add lemon, froth it up a little. So there are little things that you can play around with water with.
Yes. Yeah.
You can talk to your water.
I always believe in that. I've made a lot of videos also on that. Charge your water with your intention. And
I used to do this with my friends.
Bless your water.
I think this is a great like an experiment for everyone to do at home. Take 3 glasses of water from the same bottle, put it out in front of you. One leave without touching it. The other one hold to your heart and give lots of gratitude and wow, love you and all of this to it and keep it down. And the other one pick up and either if you want say harsh things to it or just ignore it. Notice the texture change between the water. It's not a flavor change, not that one tastes of pineapple and one tastes of strawberry, but one will taste smoother, one will taste thicker, so there's a texture change to it. I don't know how it works. It works. Yeah. And I've always liked doing it. It makes a big difference.
Yeah,
Some people say, Ashdin, your coffee tastes different. It's because there's gratitude in the coffee.
Exactly. Blessing your water is always a thing. I always tell my clients to do it because
it's a healing feeling.
It's a healing feeling, and you're actually putting in healing energy, the God energy within you. And I think that's so important because subtly it changes you at so many levels that you don't even realize. These small things eventually will just make you a different person. When you turn back and look at yourself, you'll be like, oh my God, who's this? I wasn't this person. But it's those tiny things. It's not just sitting in meditation for 1 hour. I believe in that. It's not just that. It's those small things where you can make a different. It's also like blessing your food. I believe in that also. I spoke about this in another podcast also where I heard Shri Ravi Shankar say talk about this thing where he said just before you eat your food, say Annadata Sukhi Bhava, which means you're blessing everyone from the farmer to the distributor to the person who's cooked your food to the vendor to everyone who's got that food to your table.
Correct.
So basically you're blessing all the people in the process, and I think that becomes a very beautiful thing to do because you just feel so humbled and so like grounded when you do that it's not you're just eating that food, but basically so many people were involved in that process to get it to you.
And I think these are great traditions to start off with children especially. So for example, in Japan, all children are taught to say itadakimasu before eating. Itadakimasu means I humbly receive. So I humbly receive, and in that humbly receive, I know that person who plucked the rice, who cleaned it, who washed it, etc., right from the cook, all of them have done this so that I can be eating right now. It's a very simple one-line phrase, itadakimasu, that we learn and we read. I'm thinking like this Japanese culture has fantastic little aspects for eating. So harahachi-bu is another one. You familiar with harahachi-bu?
No.
Harahachi-bu is something that when you're eating with a family, they will tell each other. Hara is stomach, hachi is 80, and bu is 80% basically. Which means that are you 80% full? If you're 80% full, stop eating.
It's a reminder, basically.
So you remind each other 80% full.
No, I love the Japanese culture. When I went to Japan 2 years back, I went for this ceremonial tea making class and the matcha tea thing. And I was observing the lady doing that entire process, conducting the class, and how beautifully they pay respect to everything from the karchi to the pot, to the glass, to the cup. Everything was done with so much respect and so much reverence. And I was amazed. I'm like, wow, this is why they're so ahead of us. And, blessed in so many ways also, because the attitude is always of gratitude and of respect to even non-living things, like to this cup also. If I pick it up, I'll have a sense of respect and gratitude towards this because it's filling my water and helping me drink water. That was the attitude, and I'm like, wow, so much to take back from this.
Yes. It's little subtle things throughout. I agree with you.
Beautiful. What about emotional eating? People stuff themselves because of their emotions and don't realize it till they are full till here, and they know that's not a good habit. But when they are in that emotional downward spiral, when they're feeling that heavy emotion that they can't process, they just reach out for that food. Any tips that you could give people to not sort of get stuck with the emotional eating patterns?
So I'm an emotional eater.
Really?
So, yeah, huge. So when I was that big, it was only because of emotional eating. Very, very stressed off in life and all of those kinds of things. So
how many years
eating,
back was that?
2013-14. So
because now you don't look like one of those.
Now because so that's the point I was coming to. It's when your emotions are regulated, when you don't need that. There will be times when I'm stressed or I'm bored or I'm something like that, and it'll sneak in. But 98% of the time it's not there. That point of time, 98% of the time I was stressed. So the key to emotional eating is that when you're in the throes of it, you can't stop. So don't. Let it be. But when you're not, work on your emotions. Go back down. Go deep. Understand where it's coming from. Many times as emotional eaters, we have a victim mentality. A victim mentality means that, bad things have happened to us. We don't realize that those things happen to us as a teacher. We don't realize that those things happen to us for a reason. And as soon as we move from a victim mentality to a person who takes ownership about what is taking place in life, automatically that victim mentality goes away. It's not that things are happening to us, it is things are happening for us. We have to make that change in our mind. Everything is happening for us. Somebody stole your wallet, it is happening for you. You maybe needed to, at that point of time, change your PIN codes for your credit cards, or you needed a new wallet, was fata hua. It was happening for you, but you have to have the bandwidth and the clarity to see it that way.
Yeah.
Many of us, we don't have the clarity because we take that victim mentality saying, look, what a horrible person, he came and stole my thing. And you cannot have that clarity in that moment. It has to happen when you're in a peaceful state.
Right.
So you need to do this when you're peaceful state, calm state, and when it comes to it.
Yeah, but when you know
life
the emotion
is full of emotional eaters. When they are bored, they eat. You don't know what to do, they eat. There's an emptiness in them that they're trying to fill. So you need to find things to fill that emptiness. Food is not what is it that fills that emptiness. Right? You need to understand what these emotions. The best way of understanding emotions is to get one of these emotion charts. So there's a Plutchik's chart. So get that emotion chart, stick it in your office, stick it on your fridge. Fridge is a great one because every time you go to you first see what am I feeling? Am I feeling anger? Achha, ye emotion tha. Am I feeling betrayal? Achha, ye emotion tha. I'm feeling jealousy. Achha, ye emotion tha. Right? Is jealousy going to be solved by having chocolate? Maybe not. Is anger going to be solved by having a pizza? Maybe not.
Yeah, and you're just soothing yourself, basically.
So then you can start making those changes. So that awareness of that emotion that you're feeling is step one. Only then can you make that change.
Right. So recently you launched your book, Small Actions, Big Results. And I was going through the index, and the second chapter is on be like water. What does that mean? That was so interesting.
So be like water became a big phrase because of Bruce Lee. When Bruce Lee said, be like water, my friend. You put water in a cup, it becomes like the shape of the cup. You put it in a vase, it becomes the shape of the vase. My version of be like water was slightly different. What I admire in water is its persistence. Right? We talk about in that chapter how the Grand Canyon was made by the river over years cutting into it. Right? So water does not see an obstacle, it only seeks a way around that obstacle. So if we have that mindset of water, we understand and we get the mindset of persistence and how to overcome obstacles. You ask any farmer, you ask any person, architect, they'll tell you the worst thing is water. How much ever you try to block it, it'll find a way to go past you.
Yeah,
It is
true.
one single mission to go from somewhere high to somewhere low. Bus. It is not any other mission, just singularly focused. You put one big dam in front of it, it'll try and figure a way around that dam. Even if it has to go up and turn into rain and come down the other side.
Wow.
But it is always in that mindset. So we need to have that mindset of persistence and be as persistent as water.
So water comes from high to low, but we, being like water, can grow from low to high.
You
Right?
can keep going as long as you have a goal.
Yeah.
It wasn't high or low. It's the goal that water has. मुझे नीचे जाना है.
Ah, right. And you've also spoken about importance of Masti. मुझे बहुत मजा आया वो बस पढ़ के ही बहुत मजा आया. So what is importance of Masti in habit formation and maybe habit change?
I think we all take ourselves too seriously, right? Take what you do seriously, take yourself less seriously. That is the key to a happy life.
1 second. Take what you do seriously, obviously, your work, your goals, your desires, and whatever you want to fulfill, take them seriously.
Yes.
But take yourself lightly.
Take yourself lightly.
Nice.
You look at any of the spiritual leaders who are enlightened, you can understand from their laugh itself. They have taken everything as a joke. The meditation they take seriously. The spiritual practice they take seriously. But everything else in life is a joke. In the same way, approach things with that sense of Masti. The interesting thing about Masti is that it does not have an English translation. Playfulness does not really get it. Mischievousness doesn't really get it. But it's a mix between the playful, mischievous, childlike fun that you have.
Yeah.
That is what Masti is. And that is what we all need to incorporate in our life. Right now we get offended. Right now we get upset. We take things too seriously. Instead, if we take things with Masti, half your stress goes away.
Yeah.
Because you laugh at everything.
Yeah. Basically, just don't take everything too seriously, because at the end of the day, this is impermanent and we are all going to one day go.
If you took this podcast so seriously, it has to be the best, has to be the best, has to be, you would not have started it.
Yeah, true.
Which is why half the people don't start their books or their podcasts or any projects, because they take that too seriously. And
Like
they take themselves too
perfectionism.
seriously.
Everything has to be like proper.
But if you're having fun with it,
Yeah.
then you'll grow. I did the podcast for 7-8 years. I had to have Masti with the podcast. It would get so boring.
Yeah. Otherwise, 1500 episodes. How would you do
1,500
that?
episodes, yeah.
That's insane. Commendable.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Masti. Guys, we need to do Masti. We need to take ourselves lightly and have fun aspects in our life and enjoy what we are doing. Right?
If you don't enjoy it, no point doing it.
If you're very serious, then
Do it out
There's
of
no fun in
love.
it.
Do it out of fun. But don't do it because it's a duty that you have to.
yeah. Also, a lot of people, Ashdin, cannot meditate because they can't close their eyes. And then there are some people who want to meditate, but they say, I don't have the time for it. How do we solve this?
Lovely. So the first thing is that there was a beautiful quote that said, if you don't have half an hour to meditate, you need to meditate for 1 hour.
Yeah.
Right? So that was one cute one. But I understand for many people, it's a reality saying that no, but I don't have 1 hour to meditate. The truth is, nobody's asking you to meditate for 1 hour because you won't be able to in the beginning. 5 minutes is all you'll be able to do. Right? The second is, most of us have forgotten or have been mistaught what meditation is. So for many people, it is that sit and think and no thoughts. Meditation is not no thoughts. There are different forms of meditation. In fact, there's a beautiful book where Lord Shiva teaches Lord Parvati Ma about meditation, the 112 techniques of meditation.
What is the book called?
112 techniques of meditation.
Wow.
I'm sure it has.
Is it also Vigyan Bhairav? I think
forget.
this is...
There's a traditional name to it, which
I think it's Vigyan Bhairav, yeah.
112 meditations. Like, for example, one of those meditations is beautiful, and it's one of my favorite, is contemplate the size of the universe. This is not no thinking. It is give your mind something so mind-bogglingly large to think about that by itself it will shut off. Can you imagine contemplating the size of the universe? So sitting and thinking, अच्छा तो हम यहाँ पे है फिर earth. By that point of time, you've lost it.
You've lost it. You've gone in trance.
You've gone into trance because you're not thinking about your own problems.
Yeah.
You're not thinking about कल क्या करना है, खाने में क्या बनाना है. You're not thinking of any of those things. You're thinking about something so incredibly large.
Yeah.
Right? So there are beautiful techniques, and we misunderstand these techniques of meditation.
Lovely, yeah. That was really interesting. I'm going to try this.
Thing is, so check out all these 12 meditations. They're beautiful, and it's all very detailed. Do this, then do this, then do this, then do this. Very nicely explained.
Nice. So basically, start small or give your mind something to think about, which is apart from your problems.
So that is one technique called mindfulness meditation or contemplation meditation. Mindfulness meditation is, for example, in Vipassana, where you focus on the breath that's coming on your lips. In contemplation meditation is this: contemplate the size of the universe, contemplate a word, happiness, and thinking happiness in terms of the different aspects of happiness, and that again puts you in a state of meditation because you're so focused on one aspect that your monkey mind has stopped.
Nice.
So it is not just no thoughts.
And for people who cannot, start with like 2 minutes or 5 minutes.
5 minutes, there's so many little meditations. There are 5-minute meditations I've recorded. Just go to my YouTube channel, search for it, and check it out.
Right there.
I think it's on the Habit Hackers YouTube channel. On the Habit Hackers YouTube channel, you'll get all of this.
Awesome. So you know where to go now. If you are somebody who cannot meditate, just go on to Ashdin's podcast or channel.
It's called the Habit Hackers.
Habit Hacker.
It was about how to make people start. So there are 2 exercise videos also, one 4-minute video and one 7-minute video. The 7 minutes you can exercise. It's called a scientific workout.
Obviously.
4 minutes a Tabata workout. You can do this. So anyone who has an excuse for time, I send them here.
Very nice. See, Ashdin's got us covered, guys.
Completely.
So go check out his Habit Hacker. Okay, lastly, I want to ask you about accountability. Now, this one's really worked for me. When I was trying to build up my meditation practice, there were days, obviously, it seemed too daunting because I had other things to do. So I would not do it. So I met a friend who's like a spiritual friend, and she kept asking me, Neha, are you meditating? Are you meditating? I'm like, okay, some days I do it, some days I don't. She's like, okay, from today, every day you do it, you're going to send me a tick on WhatsApp, and every day you don't, you're going to send me a cross. And I'm going to like respond and give my feedback on it. I said, okay, let's do this. So obviously, because I had an accountability partner, I tried it for 40 days. I tried meditating every day, barring 1 or 2 days in those 40 days because genuinely something was happening and I couldn't sit, which obviously is not an excuse, but I couldn't. And the day I actually told her I couldn't and I sent the cross, she sent a very stern and assertive feedback like, this is not done. It's not a good thing, Neha. Just reading that made me feel so bad that I'm like, oh my God, I could have done something. I could have put off something else and at least meditated for 5-10 minutes, if nothing else. That realization happened, because I had somebody to tell me that it's not right. Though my mind knew it's not, but somebody telling me, it just reinforced it. So it's really worked for me. But in your experience and, in your so many years of working with people, what have you seen about accountability? How has it changed people, or any success stories that you have?
Lovely. So in fact, in my first book, I written an entire chapter on accountability partners and how accountability partners can be people you know and people you don't know. So for example, posting on Instagram is using your Instagram followers as an accountability partner for yourself. So the 75-day challenge is an accountability partner. Instagram is accountability partner. However, I realized that the word accountability, by its very definition, has a negative aspect to it. Who do we hold accountable? We hold like Enron accountable for environment change. We hold people accountable for defaulting. It is a very negative word by itself. I'm holding you accountable for something. So I don't want to be held accountable for something that I'm doing that's good for me. Instead, now we use a word called commitment champion.
Oh, okay.
You want to make a commitment to yourself. Commitment is what? A commitment is a sign of love. Accountability is not a sign of love.
Oh, that's interesting.
Commitment is when you're committed to somebody, you love somebody.
Yeah.
That is why you're committed to them. It's not because you're forced, right? So think about it this way, that you're making a commitment, a promise to yourself because you love yourself. The person is helping you keep that promise. They are your champion for that promise.
So commitment champions.
The commitment champions. They're not accountability partners.
Wow.
Accountability partners are harsh.
Yeah.
Like you experienced.
Yeah.
A commitment champion is encouraging. They're 2 different ways.
Wow.
Because you call that person accountability, they held you accountable. But if there was a commitment champion, they would have encouraged you in a different manner.
Maybe nudged me, or maybe just, like...
They're like, babe, I understood. You still have 20 minutes. Why don't you do 5 minutes of meditation before 12 o'clock?
Wow.
It would have been a different conversation.
Approach altogether. Yeah,
Because
oh my God, this is so interesting. I've never thought of it this way.
So always start looking at life and seeing what is the little bit higher vibration level of something that you can achieve. Commitment champion versus an accountability partner.
Great.
And have those instead.
So anyone in your family or your friend circle.
Or online.
or online.
Or online. So
Yeah.
a random person can be.
Like you're doing the 75 hard challenge. So it's a commitment that you've done for yourself.
Yes.
And then you're holding your social media accountable in a way, as in you just
They
using
message me
social
saying
media.
what happened yesterday.
Yeah. So you're using your social media as commitment champion for you.
Correct.
Wow. Very nice. Very interesting.
So that's the way to start thinking about things.
Lovely. Okay, so finally, I want to ask some myth and facts about habits and habit formation and all of that. So, quickly, we'll take this. It takes exactly 21 days to form a habit.
Ghanta. No, doesn't take
Myth.
21 days. Complete myth.
Okay.
It doesn't take 21 days. You're forming a habit for the rest of your life. So don't count how many days it takes to happen.
Okay, so it can take any number of days.
Yeah, it should take your entire life.
Okay. You need high motivation every day to build a lasting habit.
Nonsense. You need a clear intention.
Great. Once a bad habit is hardwired, it's impossible to fully erase it.
Everything is changeable. Your mind is malleable. You are not stuck. And even old dogs can learn new tricks.
Okay. You can...
I've had 90-year-olds as my clients. Everything's possible.
Okay. So basically that's a myth. You can successfully build multiple new habits at once. Myth
You
or
can
fact?
only build you can only do 3 at a time.
Okay.
3 is what I found as a sweet spot.
Okay. All successful people wake up at 5 a.m. and follow a strict morning routine.
Not all successful people. Waking up at 5 a.m. helps you, but there are some people who work best at night. So it's not an all thing. You
Okay.
have to figure out, are you a morning person or a night person?
Okay.
You basically need time when everybody else is sleeping.
Okay. Skipping one day of a new habit means you have to start over.
Myth. So the third golden rule of habit change is never miss 2 days in a row. You can miss 1 day, but never 2 days.
Okay. Completely quitting social media is the only way to break phone addiction.
Myth. You can have compartmentalizations of it. So you can put social media as 20 minutes or 1 hour of social media, and that's it. So you can achieve it.
Okay. You shouldn't reward yourself after completing a habit. It creates dependency.
If the kind of reward, so for example, when I used to go for a walk on Carter Road when I was nice and tubby, my reward was having a cafe mocha with 2 sugars in it, because now I've gone for a walk. So the reward was opposing the habit goal. So those are ones that are anti it.
Okay, but otherwise you can reward yourself.
You can reward yourself. Like I was thinking that once I finish the 75-day hard challenge, I'll buy this one expensive gym equipment that I wanted for my house.
Okay.
So, in that format, you can reward yourself.
Okay. Replacing a bad habit with a good one is more effective than simply cutting it out.
That's the only way of doing it. You have to replace, you cannot remove.
Okay.
So once you remove, you create a vacuum, and maybe another bad habit will fall into that vacuum.
Okay. So that's a fact.
So for example, replacing cigarettes with vaping, as you were discussing.
Okay. Quitting bad habits cold turkey is always the most effective method.
No. It is, you reduce it to the point where you're not dependent on the habit, and then you replace that habit.
Okay. Great. So we come to our final round now. That's the rapid fire round. And I want you...
Oh, that wasn't rapid fire.
That is myth and fact.
But I was answering rapidly.
Yeah, but that's also rapid. But this is rapid
Rapider.
fire. Rapider.
Okay.
Okay, so after we are done with the myth and fact, which was super rapid, we have come to a more rapider round, which is rapid fire.
Rapid fire. All right, chalo.
Okay. If you could implant one habit into every human on this planet, what would it be?
Gratitude.
Okay. What's a habit you personally struggle with despite being the habit coach?
Phone addiction.
Okay. One book or podcast that has deeply influenced your perspective on habits?
Think and Grow Rich.
Okay. What's one habit you swear by but most people find odd?
Red light therapy.
Okay. What's the first thing you do after waking up?
Go to my espresso machine.
You think that's a good habit?
No, but I love the
Ritual.
The ritual of it. It's meditative, making it, weighing out the beans, grinding it, hearing the woo.
Okay.
So, and it's truthful rapid fire, no?
Yeah, of course.
It's not fake truth.
Nothing is fake here.
I wake up and then I massage my water with a crystal wand before drinking it and feeling it flow through my body. After which I open my back. No, I go to my espresso machine and I go and I feel the smell
I'm
of
awake.
coffee. Now I'm
Awake.
And then I take one sip of that coffee and it sits on the side while I finish my meditation.
Okay.
So it is not that you go gut.
So it meditates with you.
It meditates with me.
What's a habit you think everyone should ditch immediately?
Milk.
I love
Finally.
you for that.
One thing we agree on.
Yeah. What's your productivity secret weapon?
Use your calendar. Most of us don't use our calendar and life comes in our way.
If you had a superpower, what would it be?
Flying. I love flying.
Yeah, no?
It's like, where do you need to go? Bhayandar. Okay. Why are we going to Bhayandar? We don't know.
Nice. And when you enter the room, if you had a theme song, what would it be?
There's one song called Stand Up for the Champions by this one, Right Said Fred. It's a strange one, but I like it.
Okay. And with that, we come to an end with our rapid fire round.
Thank you.
Which was, okay, decently rapid.
No, I suck at rapid fire rounds. I'm too much of a thinker. I want to give you like a proper answer. I don't want to give you a random answer.
I know. You think deeply. That's why these questions may sometimes take a little longer than
the worst ones are like, what are the three shows that you're watching right now? I don't remember any of the shows I'm watching right now.
Cool, but it was good. So because you did decently well in the rapid fire, even if you wouldn't have, I still have a hamper for you by Urban Platter. These are all things healthy, vegan, and something that you and your family will love and enjoy. I'm hoping.
I love it. I use so many of these.
Yeah, na?
Thank you.
Yes.
I didn't give you any hamper when you came on my podcast.
It's okay. When I meet you next, maybe you can treat me.
We will do vegan hamper for you. We will have cabbage in it.
Cabbage? I don't want the hamper. Thank you.
What do vegans eat? Cabbage?
No. We eat lots more. You can give me tofu.
Give me tofu.
But thank you so much, Ashdin.
My
this was
pleasure.
Amazing. I really learned so much from you about habits and about so many other things, especially the commitment champion. I'm going to take back with me, and I'm going to also share it with my clients, because that's really beautiful the way you put it. So lots that I've learned from you today, and I'm so glad that we did this.
Me too.
So thank you for gracing my podcast, and
best of luck for it. And if there's anything I can do to help you, please let me know.
Obviously, I'm going to reach out to you. 1,500 episodes of a podcast this man has done. Who else will I reach out to?
Top 10 self-improvement podcasts in the world.
See? Somebody is now flaunting.
Thank you so much.
No, but thank you. Thank you so much for watching this interesting episode till the end. And I'm sure you have taken back a lot of insights, just the way I did, with all the wealth of information that Ashdin has shared with us. Also, let me know in the comments if you want me to call any particular guest on the show, and we will try to get them and give you the information that you are looking out for. And if you like the information we bring to you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and also share it with your friends and family. Also subscribe to Neha Ranglani Shorts, where we put up bite-sized videos. See you in the next episode with more interesting and insightful information.